we will see one by one. So before entering into the oral presentation, first of all we want to know what is presentation. So what is the purpose of the presentation? What is the role of presentation? So first of all, presentation, it is actually a method of sharing our information, our ideas, our knowledge with others by using some kind of speech or informal communication or visuals, or both speech as well as the visual. The best example, a teacher who is explaining a lesson by using some kind of slides and sometimes using charts. So this is called as actually a presentation. We are just sharing our ideas to someone. So what is an oral presentation? So oral presentation, it is a way of speaking in front of an audience. So they are both are same, to share our information, our ideas, our opinions, our knowledge on a specific topic. It is usually supported by slides, charts, postures, visual aids, videos, etc. And it actually focuses on a clear speech or confidence level as well as our body language. So what is the purpose of a presentation? So the purpose of a presentation is to inform, to persuade. Persuade means to convince or to entertain an audience. This is actually the purpose of the presentation. So we are actually informing something. It may be some kind of knowledge. And second one is want to convince. And mostly in the advertisement they are actually using it. So what is their main motive? They want to convince the audience. And the third one is entertain like movies. So the best example is a business person presenting a new product to attract the customer. So his main motive is to convince the customer. So that's why he is actually using a presentation. So in each presentation have a certain kind of need. So one is to inform, other one is to convince, other one is to entertain. Next we are going to talk about how to make an oral presentation very effective. So what are the things we need to keep in mind to make an oral presentation very effective? First one is prepare well. First of all, we want to understand the topic in a very clear manner and we want to organize the points in an order. So in slides we want to organize in a very clear point of view. Then it should be possible for us to speak in front of an audience. And the second one is start with a strong opening. So we already know that whenever we are actually starting the presentation, it should be an oral presentation. Maybe it should be offline or online. We want to start with a proper greeting. And somebody will start with the greeting, somebody will start with the question marks. So they initially start their presentation with the questions. So in the third one is somebody will start their presentation with an interesting fact or interesting story to grab the attention from the students or from the audience. So each of them's beginning is somewhat, maybe a strong opening, it's somewhat unique. And the third one is speak clearly as well as very confident manner. We already know that we want to use, don't use some kind of exaggerated words. So be simple, use some kind of simple words and use proper pronunciation and use a very steady voice. So the next we are going to see about use effective body language. We already know that. So body language is very essential for an oral presentation. So we want to maintain the eye contact. Don't look only the first row and don't look only the last rows. You want to rotate your eyes. So we want to maintain a proper eye contact and we want to stand straight. So use natural gestures, no need to elaborate it. And the next one is engage the audience. We already know that. Ask questions or use simple examples to keep the listeners very active as well as interested. So in between add some questions or add some examples, add some stories or play some videos, play some or show some kind of images. So or play in between small games. These are actually make the audience very engaged. The next, use visualize properly. We already know that slides should be very neat. Maybe you will use some kind of bulletin points. So in bulletin the point should be too simple. No need to add too many paragraphs. So that actually make the audience little bit bored. So slides should be very simple and neat and we want to use very short points and a very clear images. And the next one is manage the time well. We already know that. Cover all the points within the given time. Maybe more hours makes the audience very boring. So don't take too much of time. So make it very short and crispy. The next one is end with a clear conclusion. So in the end, you just summarize what are the things we are actually discussed. So summarize what are the key points and tag the audience. So these are the things we want to follow to make our presentation very effective. Okay. Apart from this, what are the things we need to keep in our mind? What are the other elements we need to keep in our mind? So the first one is we want to identify the topic. So you want to know who is your audience. Then only you know that which topic will be suitable for that particular audience. It should be a scholar or a student. We want to know that. So choose a very short and crispy topic or current issues. So the next one is we want to know who is our audience. Audience and local. Local means you are actually going to present the particular presentation in online or offline on the seminar hall or in the classroom. In which location you are actually going to speak the particular speech. So audience and local is very essential. And the third one is organizing content. We already know that. We want to organize the content. First of all, we want to talk about what is the need of this particular issue. If I am taking the topic like a global warming, what is the need? Why we want to take global warming? First of all, I want to do some kind of introduction. Then I want to elaborate my discussion. In between, I want to add some kind of data. So in between, I want to ask some questions. In the end, I just need to add some kind of conclusion. So the next one is visual aids. So everybody know that visual aids. So maybe in the communication, the visual communication is more effective than the oral communication. Everybody know that. If I am teaching continuously in the classroom nearly 1 hour, so on the next day if I am asked question to my students what I actually taught in the last class, so they know only a few points. They forget so many points. So because the reason is oral communication, it's very difficult for the students to maybe to recall everything. But what about visual communication? It's easier for them to catch the points in a very easier manner, because we already know that in so many students they actually the songs, the movie names. So it is actually very difficult for the students to forget. So they remember everything in a very easier manner, because the reason is the visual communication. So the visual aid is more essential. If you are actually presenting the oral presentation, so in between compulsorily we want to add some kind of visual aids like slides, charts, poster, anybody, whatever may be. But we want to add it. That only make the audience little bit engaged. If you are continuously teaching in the past maybe past 1 or 2 hours, so without using any kind of visual aids, it makes the audience very bored. So we want to use visual aids to make our presentation very effective. And the next one is body language. Everybody knows that. A very good body language needs for our presentation. We want to use a different voice tone or voice modulations, and in between some kind of gestures. So if we can speak on a monotonous voice, don't use any kind of intonations. That makes our speech very boring. So body language is very essential. Use some gestures, facial expressions that make the students keep active. And the next one is stress. We already know the stress, voice modulation, intonation. These three things are very essential. We want to show the modulation in our voice. Okay, we will see this topic one by one. The first one is identifying your topic. So we want to choose a topic, means we want to decide what our presentation is about. So pick a topic you know well, or one that matches the purpose of the presentation. So I am already having some knowledge about English literature. So I want to choose topics based on that, like a Victorian literature or the British literature or any place from the Shakespeare. So because I am familiar with that particular topic, if I am actually familiar with the soft skills, I want to take the topics from that. What is group discussion? What do you mean by presentations? Because whatever that is familiar for me, that only easier for me to present the ideas in a very good manner. So we want to choose a topic. We already know that, and that one want to match the purpose of the presentation. If I am going to present a seminar for the college students, so this is a common topic like effective oral presentation, what is group discussion, that actually matches with my purpose. So whenever we are actually choosing or identifying the topic, we want to keep these two things in our mind. The first one is we want to choose our topic, we already know it, and the second one is the topic should maybe want to matches the purpose of the presentation. So the best example, the audience, it may be a students, you might choose the time management for the exam or self-discipline. So this kinds of topic we will choose. If it should be a scholar, we want to take some kind of very standard topics, we want to choose it. Second one is audience and local. We already know that. First one is audience. So we want to understand who is going to watch our presentation. Are they the students or professionals or scholars or staff members or general public who is actually going to maybe listen our presentation. So we want to know that. So after that we want to choose our topic. Then only it is easier for the audience to catch up. Because if my audience is general public, if I am going to play the Shakespeare's old versions or any other classical literature, it should not be possible for the general public to understand it. Because most of the people are illiterate on that particular category. So I want to choose a topic based on their capability. If my topic, if my maybe audience should be the professionals, so I don't want to take any kind of simple topics. I want to take any topics from the literary theory, like the Ferdinand de Saussure or Jacques Derrida. So then only the professionalism, they will understand my standard. So according to my audience, I want to choose the particular titles. So the next one is local, the location. So consider where the presentation will happen. If it is a classroom or the seminar hall, or it is an online platform or the offline platform. Okay, what is my mode of communications? So according to my locations, I want to prepare my presentation. The best example is if it should be an online audience, we want to use a very clear visuals, because in online presentations it is difficult for us to see everybody. They just see the speaker's face as well as some kind of visuals only. Through the visuals they are actually understanding something. Because in most of the times, they can't hear the voices properly in an online communication. So on those times, if we want to use some kind of clear visuals. After seeing the clear visuals, they will understand everything in a very clear manner. So clear visual is very essential. So for the online audience, we want to use some kind of clear visuals and speak slowly for the better understanding. If it is offline communication, it's not a big problem. So if you are speaking too fast, and again the student can ask some kind of doubts. So according to my locations, I want to prepare my presentation. So the next one is organizing content. So we want to divide our content into very clear sections. We already know that. So many of them start with some questions, many of them start with the greetings, and many of them start with a simple story, whatever may be. But the main three things is the introduction, main body, as well as the conclusion. So first of all, we want to start by telling the audience that what your topic is and why it is very important. So the second one is we want to explain our topic with the proper examples, the facts, the stories. We want to add everything. We want to elaborate our topic. In the end, we want to summarize the key points and end with a very strong message. Why global warming is very important. Why we want to reduce the pollution. What is the need of it. In the end, we want to end with a very strong message. So the best example, my topic is benefit of the exercise. We want to explain the points. So we want to elaborate like improving health, reducing stress. In the end, we want to advise everyone that benefit of exercise is very essential for everyone nowadays. I want to end with a very strong message. So apart from this, we want to add some kind of questions or facts. So data from the newspaper, journals, magazines, etc. to make our presentation very effective. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about using visual aids. We already know that visual aids like slides, pictures, charts, posters, videos that makes our presentation very interesting and helps explain our ideas in a very clear manner. The best examples, we are actually using graphs to show the difference in health before and after regular exercise. So most of the classes, they are showing some kind of maps. What is the reason for that? To know the places in a very clear manner. So if I am saying that Madurai is nearby Tirunelveli or nearby Kovilpatti, it's very difficult for the students to remember everything. If instead I am just using a map to show the location to the students, I am showing that this is Tirunelveli, this is Madurai, this is Madras. It is easier for the students to learn it. So visual aids is very important for effective presentation. So now we are going to see what are the types we are having in the visual aids. We are having so many types, but I am going to discuss here only a few. First one, video clips. Second, PowerPoint, diagram, maps, flashcard, whiteboard, animation, poster, charts and graphs, flip chart, product objects and artifacts. Okay. We will see one by one. The first one, video clips. Everybody know that video clips. So a short videos. We are not going to play the video for nearly 2 to 3 hours, not like that, just going to play a video clips like a 2 minutes video, 3 minutes video. So that actually explains the complex topic in a very clear manner, and it actually keeps the audience very engaged. We already know that. If I am going to explain any kind of topic to my students, what is discipline, what is self-discipline, so why I want to reduce the pollution, instead of oral communication, I will play a video clip to my students. So after listening the video clip, they will understand the difference, they understand the complex topics. If I am discussing the personality of a people, or what are the types of eating, what are the types of walking, so they are having too many types, like if for instance eating we can say that, nibbling we can say that, we are having swallowing, so everything is different. If I am doing explanation for my students for everything, they will be a little bit confused. So instead I will show some kind of video clips to my student that will actually make them to understand the complex topic in a very clear manner. So instead I will use a 2-minute video to demonstrate how a new product works. This is actually the best example. And the second one is PowerPoint. Everybody knows that because in most of the presentations, in the workshops, in the seminar, they will use the PowerPoint, the PPT. So without PPT, they are actually thinking that communication is completely inactive. So PowerPoint, which is actually a versatile tool for creating visually appealing slides with the text, images as well as animations. The best example, we want to use bullet points and visualize to summarize the key points, key information without overwhelming the audience. So we want to use some kind of bullet points and we want to use some kind of visuals in between. If I am going to talk about the Shakespeare, I want to add the image of the Shakespeare. So if I am going to talk about the George Bernard Shaw, I want to add his picture. So what is actually the story is about? I want to add some pictures related to that. If I am actually going to talk about the soft skills, I want to add the pictures related to that. So the visuals, the bulletin points, the visual that makes the audience understand the topics in a very clear and engaging way. Okay. Next we are actually going to talk about the diagrams. So diagrams, it actually explains us how something works and how parts are connected. So mostly we are actually seeing these kinds of diagrams in the science. Mostly the students who are taking the biology group, they will know that for the what are the parts of brain, they will understand what is the parts. So diagram will be very helpful for us to analyze the parts and how something will be works, how something is working. So to know that, diagram will be very helpful for us. So the best example, the human body diagram, the flow diagram, this is actually the best example. And next we are actually going to talk about the maps. Maps we already know that it shows the location, the direction as well as the distances. So they are actually useful in geography and as well as the history topics. So without maps, geography and history should be incomplete. The next one is flashcards. Everybody know that flashcards is actually show some kind of words or numbers or pictures on a very small cards. Initially we are actually using this for the kids. In the CBSE school, they are actually showing some kind of pictures in the cards. So nowadays we are having smart boards in the classrooms. On those days before smart boards, the teachers, they will show some kind of cards on their hands. The cards will contain, if want to make the students to show the apple, instead they will use the flashcards, the apple flashcards, they will show to the students, show to the kids. Okay, they will understand, okay, this is the apple. So likewise the numbers 1 to 10, whatever may be. So flashcards, so means the words, numbers or pictures in a very small cards. They are actually helpful for memorize as well as the revision. Whenever the teachers show their cards, the students, they started to tell, well, this is apple, this is banana. They started to tell, maybe the staff, they use some kind of number, they will show some kind of numbers like 9 or 10. The students see their flashcards and they say that, the number. So next we are actually going to talk about the whiteboard. So whiteboard, so nowadays we are having smart boards, and those days the teachers are using blackboard with the chalkboards. Nowadays the modern technologies has come, so we are actually using, instead of blackboard, we are using whiteboard. So useful for explaining the concept spontaneously or drawing diagram during the discussions. So in most of the staff, they will use the slides. So instead of using whiteboard, they will make a PPT and they will use the slides and they will explain everything to the students. So somebody will teach in the manner that they will use a whiteboard. So whatever I am teaching, if I am going to take any kind of literary theory, like structuralism or post-structuralism or the soft skills or the ELT, English language teaching, so I will maybe I will use a whiteboard. So I will tell that the first one, the grammar translation method, then the direct method. So what are the methods? Audio visual, audio lingual method. So what are the methods we are actually having? I will write one by one. So instead, if you are having any kinds of points, I will put an arrow and I will write everything. So it will help us to explain the concept in a very spontaneous manner. So whatever maybe, on the one side I will start to deliver the lecture to my students, on the other side I will draw diagrams or write something on the board during the discussion to explain the concept in a very clear manner. So the best example, draw a quick flow chart with while explaining your process. So in between we want to use some kind of diagrams or we want to write anything like that. So the next one is animation. So animations already know, everybody's know that. So animation, it makes the presentation very dynamic, but they should be using sparingly. So the best example, so in between in your presentation you just add any kind of animated video to show the flow of data in a system. So next we are actually going to talk about the question. Wait a minute. Okay. Posture. So posture, we already know that if any kind of new movies or in an advertisement about any kind of shop or any kind of tuition center, whatever may be, the posture, it actually summarizes the information in a very visually appealing format. If any examples, if you are taking about any kind of tuition centers, the advertisement. So what is the time of the tuition, what is the name of the tuition, what about the address, so who is going to teach, in which class they are actually going to take classes. So we are actually summarizing information in a visually appealing format. So we are actually using some kind of images like 2 or 3 students are sitting on the bench and studying, a staff is teaching. We are actually visualizing the images also. They are actually good for the static displays. So the best examples, want to use a poster with the diagrams and key points for the science project presentation. These are actually using for the ads, for movie ads or shop ads, whatever may be. The next we are actually going to talk about the charts and graphs. Everybody know that. Visualize the data with a bar graph or pie chart or line graph for our easy understanding. So the best examples, just use a pie chart to show the percentage of market share for the different companies. In most of the schools also they will use the graphs. In most of the foreign countries, instead of so providing the ranks, they will put a graph. So in this graph, bar graph, they will tell that the orange color is for the students who scored 9200. So the red color bar is for the next, the students who are scoring 80 to 90. The next green color is for the average students. They are actually scored between 60 to 80. The next purple is for the poor learners who are scoring below 40. So this kind of bar graph they will provide it and they will put the chart in the outside of the classrooms. After seeing the particular chart, we just analyze what is the overall performance of the particular class. So this is actually, we are actually using to know the percentage or data. So the next we are going to talk about the flip chart. So flip chart, everybody know that it is actually great for the brainstorming session or presenting the ideas in a very small groups. So the best examples, write down the audience suggestion on a flip chart during your workshops. So they were actually using the flip charts in a large paper. At the top they are actually want to present the flip chart, and so below the paper they are actually using another chart. So this kinds of maybe they are actually using this kinds of flip charts for the brainstorming session. They will use it. Next we are actually going to talk about the product objects as well as the artifacts. Show some kind of physical objects. It actually makes your presentation very interactive and memorable. So the best example is passed around a prototype of a product during a presentation on its future. So if I want to show my students what is a water bottle, so I will bring my water bottle and I will present my students that this is a water bottle. This may be helpful for the students, for the engineering students also. So we are actually presenting the lab for the students. We are actually showing the lab and we are showing each instrument And after maybe show the instrument, we are actually telling the names to the students. Product, objects, we are actually showing the physical objects, so physical instrument to the students, and we are actually telling the name. It makes them very interactive, and they are actually remember everything in a very long term. Okay. So next we are actually going to talk about the body language. Visually it's complete. So we are actually talking about what are the types we are actually having. So after that, to make our presentation very effective, body language is also very essential. The first one is body language. It is actually a way to communicate without using words. So most of the time we are actually using it. Like if our friend is going to present a seminar, so we will show our hands like this instead of good luck or all the best. So we are actually not only using our words. Without using our words, we are using some kind of gesture, some kind of facial expression. My friend is asking any kind of doubts to me, or my enemy is asking any kind of doubts to me. I don't like her, so I will turn my face. After seeing my facial expression, she knows that. So I am actually angry and not at all willing to help her. So without using our words, we are actually going to use our body language. So it includes our facial expression, our gestures, our posture, our eye contact, our hand movements, etc. So through body language, we are actually showing our feelings, our thoughts, our attitudes, even when we are silent. Without using our words, we are actually sharing our feelings and ideas through body language. So for example, smiling shows happiness. My friend has got a prize. I started to smile after seeing that. That actually shows my happiness. If India has won the match, after seeing that, I started to smile. So that smiling, that actually shows my happiness. And the folded arms may show discomfort or disagreement. If my friend is giving some kind of suggestion and my staff is giving some kind of suggestion to me, I actually don't like that particular idea. I just started to fold my arms. So that actually shows some kind of discomfort or disagreement. I am not at all agree with that particular point. So the next one, what is the role of the body language? So body language, it actually plays a very important role in our communication. We will see its role one by one. The first one is express communication. It helps us to show our emotion like happiness, anger, fear, scare or confidence in a very clear manner. It helps us to express our emotions. Second one, supports the spoken words. It makes our words very stronger and more meaningful. What we say and how we move should watch. So in most of the movies, they are actually presenting the movie. The hero is delivering the dialogues, not at all showing any kind of body language on his face. If he started to celebrate the particular hero, no, right? So like that. So the spoken words with the body language, we want to use the body language with the spoken word. Then only the word should be very effective. So the staff is taking the seminar without using any kind of body language. They are just using the monotonous voice like a robot. They are delivering the lectures. The student should interact, the student should be active, a student should engage, no, right? So that was happening here also. So this body language, it makes our word very stronger. I am actually taking the seminar with you. I am actually showing some kind of hand movements in between. So then only it should be easier for you. Maybe you will engage after seeing it. So it makes our words very stronger and more meaningful. So what we say and how we move should match. So the next one is avoid the nervous habits. Okay. So avoid fidgeting or tapping or playing with objects. So we want to avoid this kind of nervous habits. And most of the students have this kinds of habits. Whenever I tell them to take a seminar, so most of them they will hold their handkerchiefs. They will not make their hands very free manners. Instead, sometimes they will use a pen. So we want to avoid this as a nervous habit. So that actually easily tells the audience that we are actually nervous. So do not click a pen repeatedly. It can distract the audience. And the next one is facial expressions. Everybody know that. Match your expression to the tone of your message. How you are actually speaking the particular part. If I am narrating a story or playing a Shakespeare, if I am narrating a mysterious scene in the Macbeth, like how the witches are coming, how the mysterious scene, I want to use some kind of mysterious voice tone, then only the audience can listen it. So like this, if the scene is very happy, if I am showing the azure light in the end, everything was Likewise, if I am taking the play King Lear, in the end scene, so pathetic. So Cordelia was died. How the King Lear was crying on the particular scene. I want to change my voice tone. So what is the feeling of his father when her daughter was died? So instead of him, this was a blunder mistake was done by the King Lear. I want to narrate the scene in a very sad manner with Romeo and Juliet. In the end, Juliet was died. Romeo and Juliet, both of them are died. So at that time, I want to use some kind of pathetic voice tone. So as well as I want to use some kind of facial expression on that particular scene. So the expressions want to match to the tone of my message, tone of my voice. So smile while delivering a positive information or show concern when discussing a very serious issues. Okay. Next we are actually going to talk about head movements and open body posture. So head movements, everybody knows that we want to nod slightly to agree with the audience feedback or to emphasize their understanding. So if I am asking any question to my students, if they are actually saying answers to me, I want to nod my head. Then only the students can understand that okay, our staff is actually listening to me. So in between I want to nod our head slightly to tell the audience that I am actually hearing, to show the audience that I am actually hearing. So the best example is normally saying that this is an important point to consider. So like the next one is open body posture. Everybody knows that. Keep your arms open. Don't fold your hands. So avoid crossing them as it can be seen differently. So keep your arms open, then only so feel free when you are actually giving the presentation. So if you are actually folding your arm, that actually shows that you are actually nervous. So open hands while explaining indicate that you are approachable and you are confident. Okay. The next one we are actually going to talk about our voice modulation. Use variation in pitch and tone to keep the audience engaged. We already know that if I am actually going to give any kind of positive information on the happiest news, I want to use that kind of voice. If I am going to convey any sad news, I want to use a sad voice. So I want to use some kind of variation in pitch. Most of the stage speakers, they are actually using it. So whenever they are actually delivering a particular lecture, their voice should be considered different. So if you are actually providing or showing or speaking any kind of motivational idea, their voice is somewhat different. If they are actually conveying any kind of sad news, their voice should be different. Likewise, we want to use some kind of variation in our voice, in our pitch, in our tone. That makes the audience very engaged. So the best example, speak louder and with some kind of excitement during the key points and softer during reflective moments. The next one is engage with everyone. We already know that. Shift your focus among all the parts of the audience. Rotate your eyes. So don't just focus only the first row or the middle row or the last row. So rotate your eyes maybe in all the part of the audience to make everyone feel included. The best example, don't just look only in the front row, also address those in the back. So the next one is use a genuine smile on your face. A sincere smile creates a positive connection with your audience. If you don't use any kind of smile on your face, so your sad face or your serious face, it make the audience less active. So always keep a smile on your face. It shows our confidence as well as friendliness. The best example, smile warmly while greeting the audience to make them feel very comfortable. So the next one is right outfit. We already know that dress appropriately for the occasion. Your outfit should match formally of the event. If I am going to attend a seminar for the college, I want to dress. So according to the place, I want to dress it. Like I can wear any kind of chudidar. So I will dress very neatly. If I am going to address the general public, I will wear sari. So according to the place, I will change my outfit. So the example is wear very formal attire for the business presentation, like a blazer or the trousers, and opt for the casual but neat clothing for the informal setting. Okay. So things to keep in mind before the presentation. What are the things we want to keep in our mind? The first one is we want to choose aids based on our audience and topic. Who is my audience? According to that, I want to choose the visual aids. If it is a kid, I want to use some kind of flashcards. it should be maybe ordinary people, I will take some kind of videos. So according to my audience, I will choose the aids. The next one is ensure the tools are functioning properly before the presentation. Just check it out. If tomorrow if you are going to play any kind of presenting in a seminar in front of the audience, in between you just check whether the PPT is okay, if it is opening on the particular smart board, just check everything, because on the spot the PPT is not at all opening, so it's very difficult for us to convey our message to the audience. So we want to ensure that tools are functioning properly before the presentation. Third one, use a combination of visual and physical aids to engage the different learning styles. We want to use some kind of visual aids like slides, movie clips, or animated videos, whatever may be, and physical aids somewhat. Sometimes the physical products. So the next one is avoid overloading with too many aids. Focus on clarity and simplicity. So we already know that we want to make our presentation very neat and simple. If I am actually using some kind of slides, in between I am using some images, videos, that is enough. So don't use every visual slides on a single PPT. So in between you are actually using flashcards, you are using animated videos, you are using posters, graphs, charts, that actually make the audience very confused. So don't overload with too many aids, just focus on clarity as well as simplicity. So the next we are actually going to talk about the body language mistakes to avoid during a presentation. The first one is cross downs. This appears defensive as well as unapproachable. We already know that. Don't fold your arms, don't use cross arms. Second one is poor eye contact. We already know that. Avoid looking at the floor or the ceiling or the slides, or try to engage with the audience. Don't look just only the floor or just only the sky. That poor eye contact made the audience less active. The next one is fidgeting. So we want to avoid some kind of constant movements like playing with our pen, tapping our feet. So this kind of fidgeting movements we want to avoid. Then this can be hands in pockets. So don't use my hands in the pockets. This actually seem very casual as well as very disinterested. The next one is slouching. Everybody knows that we want to maintain a very good posture. That actually makes we are actually very confident. That makes to appear confident and professional. So don't slouch here and don't slouch there. This kind of body language, it is actually not at all professional. So try to avoid that. The next one is overusing gestures. So avoid exaggerated or repetitive hand movement that actually distract the audience. No need to overuse the gestures. Try to use your gesture where it is actually needed. The next one, turning away. We already know that. Don't turn your back. Don't show your back to the audience while speaking. Just try to face the audience. So most of the people, when they are actually presenting the seminar, they are actually turning around. They are just looking only the slides and they started to read it. So that actually makes the audience less engaged. So don't turn your back as well as turn your turn your face to the audience. So the next one is face touching. So avoid touching your face, which actually indicates your nervousness. So most of the people, often they will touch their face during the presentation. They will touch here and that. That actually shows our nervousness. The next one is pacing. Walk with purpose rather than pacing back and forth aimlessly. If you are having any kind of purpose, if I am assigning some task to my students, I will walk here and that. So because I want to notice what the students are actually doing. Without doing anything, without having any kind of purpose, if I am walking here and that, without having any kind of aim, that is completely purposeless. The next one is expressionless face. Everybody know that. Show appropriate facial expression to convey our interest as well as emotion. So next we are actually going to talk about things to avoid during a presentation. Don't read the slide as it is. It actually disengages the audience. Just try to explain to the audience. Don't just read as it is. Next one is too much text. We already know that. Avoid cluttered slides. Keep them very simple and visually appealing the audience. The next one, monotone speech. Everybody know that. Speak with energy and use variation in your tone to keep the audience very interested. The next one is lack of practice. Avoid being unprepared and you want to rehearse thoroughly. So the next one, ignore the time limit. Stay with the allotted time. If I am actually giving time for you nearly 5 minutes, stay with the allotted time. To respect the audience schedule, don't take too much of time. So these are the things we want to avoid it. And the next one is poor visuals. So avoid the low quality images. Just use the high quality images that make the audience look makes engage. So an excessive animation that distracts. We want to avoid that. Next one is no eye contact. We already know that. Engage with the audience by maintaining a proper eye contact. Then rushing. Speak clearly and use a very moderate pace to ensure understanding. Don't speak too slow, as well as the same time don't speak too fast. The next one, overloading data. Present only essential points. Avoid the unexcessive details. So the next one, ignoring questions. Be open to queries and respond professionally. So whatever may be your presentation, in the end, just ask some question to your students. So what do you think about this particular topic? Whatever may be. So be open to the queries. Allow the students also to ask questions to you. So be ready to answer. So don't ignore the questions. Okay. Next we are actually going to talk about the stress, voice modulation and intonation. We will see one by one. So if our speech want to be very effective, so we want to use proper stress, voice modulation and intonation in our voice. So speech is not only about correct pronunciation of words, but also about how those words are spoken. So elements such as stress, voice modulation and intonation plays an important role in convey our meaning, our emotions, our attitudes in a spoken language. Proper use of these features makes our speech very effective, clear as well as expressive. Okay. The first one we are actually going to talk about stress. Stress refers to one emphasis or prominence given to a particular syllable, word or sentence in a speech. We already know the meaning for the word stress. Instead, we are actually using stress for physical stress we are actually using, or mental stress we are actually using. If the manager is assigning too many tasks to you, the employee will say that we are having stress. Stress means they are actually emphasizing some work. Likewise, in the words we are actually using, giving emphasis for the certain word or certain syllable or certain sentence. A stressed sound is spoken with a greater force or higher pitch or for the longer duration compared to the unstressed words. For the stress, we are having two different types. The first one is word stress, second one is sentence stress. So we are actually going to talk about the word stress. Wait a minute, I am going to take some water. Okay, we will continue. Word stress, it is actually to emphasize on a single syllable in a particular word. Like if I am using the word table. So I am giving stress on the word table. So it is actually unstressed. The word it is actually stressed. Likewise begin. For the word begin, I am using stress. For the begin, it is actually be. It is actually unstressed. So correct word stress helps in proper pronunciation as well as understanding. Next I am going to talk about the sentence stress. So sentence stress refers to one emphasis placed on important words in a sentence, like nouns, main verb, adjectives, adverbs. So we are actually using this. We are actually using stressed words on this. For the unstressed words, article, preposition, conjunction, we are actually using. Not at all going to use any kind of stress on the articles or preposition. The best example, she bought a new dress. I am giving stress on bought and I new. I am not at all going to do a stress on because article is not at all essential. What I am actually going to say, I bought a new dress. I actually bought a new dress. That is actually very essential. So what I am actually emphasizing, I bought a new dress. I bought something and I bought, that is something new. So I want to give stress on this particular two words. So sentence stress, it is actually emphasized on a particular word in a sentence. So what is this role of this stress? So it actually helps in understanding the meaning in a very clear manner. Second one is it actually improves our pronunciation. And the third one is it makes our speech very natural and fluent. Okay. Next we are actually going to talk about the voice modulation. Voice modulation, it is actually the variation in our pitch, tone, volume and speed of the voice while speaking. It helps to express our emotion and maintaining the listener's interest. So what are the elements we need to have in voice modulation? Pitch, volume, tone, pace. We will see one by one. Okay. First we are actually going to talk about pitch. Pitch means the highness or the lowness of our voice. how we are actually read the particular words. We are actually using the high amount of sound or the low amount of sound. The next one is volume. Volume refers to the loudness or softness of the voice. How I am saying that particular word. If I am using in a loud manner, if I am shouting like anything, or I am saying the same word in a very soft manner. The next one is tone. Tone shows our attitude or emotion of the speaker, such as happiness, anger or seriousness. If anybody is saying something to me, I will say that okay, I can do it. That actually shows that okay, I am some kind of a good person, a good attitude I am having. If somebody is saying any work or assign some work to me, or a manager or my colleague has assigned okay, or assign or allotting some task to me, if I am saying that okay, so that actually shows my attitude. So this tone actually shows that how we are actually saying that particular word. So the next one is pace. Pace refers to the speed of our speech. If I am speaking in a very slow manner or in a moderate pace or in a very fast manner. So the next one is importance of the voice modulation. So we want to make our speech very interesting as well as very engaging. So the next one is it actually helps us to express our feelings as well as our emotions. So prevent the monotonous in your speech. So use some kind of variation in your voice. And the third one is it enhance your effective communication. Next we are going to talk about intonation. So intonation refers to the rise as well as the fall of the voice while speaking. It actually plays a very important role in conveying our meaning, our emotion or emphasize in a spoken language. So intonation helps distinguish statement from questions. It expresses our feelings and clarify the intent of a message. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the types of the intonation. The first one is rising intonation. The pitch of the voice rises towards the end of the sentence. Like, are you coming with us? So with us I am actually giving so many stress. So the pitch rises at the end, signaling a yes or no question. Likewise, emotion. Really? The pitch rises to show some kind of surprise or disbelief. So the next one is falling intonation. The pitch of the voice falls towards the end of the sentence. Like, I am going to the store. Initially I will start with a high pitch. I am going. So the pitch falls at the end, indicating a declarating sentence. Then the emotions like, that's great. For I am the start with some kind of, the pitch falls express some kind of satisfaction settlement. That's great. So the next one we are actually going to talk about the flat intonation. The pitch stays level and don't rise or as well as fall significantly. We are actually, I don't want to use any kind of rising and falling tone in my voice. The monotonous pitch, that is actually called a flat intonation. So the meaning starts at 3 o'clock. The voice is very dull or robotic as there is a very little variation in my speech. So next we are actually going to talk about the rising and falling intonation. Initially the pitch rises and then falls within a sentence. The best example. So I can't believe it. So I can't believe it. So I can't. I am actually raising my voice. Believe it, and the voice started to fall. So the voice rises initially and then falls to emphasize the surprise or emotion. So the next example is for the choice and alternative we are actually using it. Would you like tea or coffee? For the tea, I am actually emphasizing the word tea. For the coffee, the voice started to fall. So the pitch rises on tea and falls on coffee to show a choice between these two options. Okay. Next I am going to talk about the falling and rising intonation. The pitch falls, the pitch falls and then rises within a sentence. The best example for uncertainty, for any kind of suggestion we are actually using it. Okay, I am not sure if I should go. If I am not sure, the voice started to fall. If I should go, so the voice started to rise. So the pitch falls and then rises to show some kind of hesitation as well as uncertainty. Okay. So what is the role of stress, voice modulation, intonation? So it makes our speech in a very essential, it makes our speech very effective. So they actually help us to convey our meaning, our emotion and emphasize the points in a very effective manner. So proper use of these elements improves our communication skills and make our speech a very clear, expressive and impactful. So for effective oral presentation, we need everything. So effective oral presentation is not only about speaking. So how we are actually presenting ourselves and connect with our audience. You already know the difference between communication, effective communication. Communication means we are actually saying something. Effective communication means after the class, the audience, the students, they understand, everybody understand everything. That is called as effective. Okay, I effectively teach in my class. Likewise, in oral presentation, how I am presenting my ideas to my audience. So visual aids, it actually help to make our ideas very clearer and more interesting. Likewise, the proper stress, voice modulation, intonation make our speech lively and meaningful. So the positive body languages, we already know that the gestures, the eye contact, that shows a confidence and keeps the audience very engaged. So understanding the audience as well as the location help us to adjust our language. If I am going to talk in front of the professional, I want to use very kind of standard language. If I am going to talk about in front of general public, I want to use very simple language. So according to my audience as well as location, I want to adjust my language and style according to the situation. Therefore, by combining all these elements together, like intonation, the stress, so body language, the audience, the locations, we can deliver a very clear, confident and impactful oral presentation. Thank you.